We're even a few thousand years more removed from, say, some of the books in the Old Testament. So as time goes on, we're obviously getting farther away from the text, right? In one sense, of course. But in another sense, as time goes on, we're not necessarily getting farther from the original text. We're actually getting closer. What do I mean by that? Well, let me pick on the King James Bible for a second. The beloved King James Bible was translated between the years of 1604 and 1611. And it was translated not from manuscripts, those handwritten copies, but from printed editions of the Hebrew Old and Greek New Testaments. And the main printed editions that the King James translators use were based themselves on about 31 manuscripts. I'm talking about the New Testament here. Of the New Testament, the King James translators had 7 printed editions of the Greek New Testament, and those were based on approximately 31 manuscripts. Now, we have today 27 of those 31 manuscripts in our possession. We can go and we can look at them. But we also have 5,000 plus more manuscripts. If you skip ahead to 2023 from 1611, when the King James translation was published, we have a greater body of evidence that leads us back to the New Testament text and the Old Testament text. Because the earliest manuscript of those 31 that the King James translators had as their kind of underlying base text, the oldest of which was from the 11th century. Today, we have copies that go back to the 2nd century. So as time goes on, as we stick shovels in the ground and we discover manuscripts and we uncover archaeological evidence, we get closer to the time frame to a picture of what the Bible actually said. Now, that doesn't mean that the King James translation is not accurate in that sense. If anything, what we found when we unearthed all those manuscripts is a confirmation that even though the King James translators were using a base text that came from a later period, it was remarkably similar, remarkably accurate. This is not a kind of a dig on the King James Bible, by no means. But what we have when we have modern translations is we're able to get a greater picture of what the original looked like.